That dovetails perfectly into my next question. For listeners not currently working in the area of cybersecurity or not in the industry at all and are just watching this out of curiosity, but who find this discussion of the OWASP top 10 list and all the different types of vulnerabilities there are to be patched and secured, what can you do with this info? What types of career paths or job roles involve this type of work? Because it's not just secure coding or patch management, but like I assume that there's DevSecOps elements, there's access management and all these different things. But can you sort of walk me through some of these different career paths?
Oh, totally. Yeah. And this is not going to be an exhaustive list, because this cybersecurity world that we live in is just a massive place. And there's so many different job opportunities out there, which is a good thing, but also for someone that's just starting out, you may look at this, massive world and say, man, this is a daunting place. Like, how do I even get in or where do I start, And so, so some of the things you mentioned, patch management or secure coding or, some of these DevSecOps roles, that those kinds of things are absolutely, possibilities out there or open opportunities out there. I did a quick search of like a really popular career website the other day, and I just typed in like, software developer, or I don't remember all some of the keywords I used, but I mean, there was a laundry list of these things. I mean, jobs open everywhere. And I mean, it was everything. I think on the software developer side, I mean, I found there was like a farming equipment company that's like, we need to write some applications. There's banks, there's insurance companies, there's, there's retail stores, there's all kinds of stuff that's open out there. So certainly you could be in software development, but you could do a number of things. Like you said, patch management. How do you patch these systems and when do you do that? And, especially if you have these really big, complex applications, do you have to kind of, for lack of a better term, you're going to have to restart the computer, right? To make them take the patch, right? Well, how do you restart the actual web server that's like serving up your data like all the time? And it's your business critical. So there's, sometimes there's like maintenance windows where it's like, all right, we got to wait till like next Thursday or a week from next Friday or whatever it is, right? Before we can turn off this system and patch it up. But in the meantime, there's a massive vulnerability that's just sitting out there completely open for anyone to take advantage of. And so there's some of that risk management. There's, so there's a lot of different places you could start. I think Infosec does a great job of giving different, career paths or skill paths, to say, hey, if you're interested, just take this path, and that gets you into this world, and at least it can start to give you some ideas of where you might want to start. So.
Yeah, you're my, I think, 189th guest or something on the show. And I learn a lot, as much from folks as any of our listeners do. And I'm, I was constantly amazed that, there's entire jobs, careers, things with, promotion potential for things like access management, making sure who has access to what types of documents or what parts of the system, and there's just so much of living online now that there's so many different places where you can sort of pitch in and be really good at one specific thing that you like doing. And like you said, you can go anywhere you want with it.
I totally agree. I mean, that's a great example, the access management stuff. But then in fact, like we said on the OWASP top 10, broken access control is the number one out there. So, I mean, if you're an access manager expert or access management expert, then my goodness, you can write your own ticket almost. It's like, hey, because everybody needs that stuff. And it's an interesting thing. Some people may look at that and say, well, I don't want to pigeonhole myself into like, hey, I have to be this access management expert. Right. I wouldn't look at it like that. I would say, hey, do a really good job at it, and then get to know that world, and then you be like the expert. But then you can always like laterally move or maybe move up or whatever it is, and do a little something else in an organization. So
see what else is interesting to you while you're there. Totally.
Yeah. So don't be afraid that, hey, I'm going to pigeonhole myself and I'm just going to do nothing but access management or access control for the rest of my life.
Exactly.
That's not how it works.
How about some free cybersecurity training resources for you and your team? Just go to infosecinstitute.com/free to get ebooks, training guides, and more than 100 cybersecurity training courses, all free for CyberWork listeners. Go to infosecinstitute.com/free and start learning crucial new skills today.